Breaking state of emergency declared, thousands evacuated. Governor Brown declares state of emergency in Riverside and Shasta counties and in Mariposa County due to fires. Sacramento, California, Governor Edmund G. Brown Jr. today issued emergency proclamations for Riverside and Shasta counties due to the effects of the Cranston and Carr fires, which have destroyed homes and structures, threatened critical infrastructure and caused the evacuation of residents. Governor Edmund G. Brown Jr. today issued an emergency proclamation for Mariposa County due to the effects of the Ferguson Fire, which has threatened homes and critical infrastructure and caused power outages and the evacuation of residents. The full text of today's proclamations is below. Proclamation of a state of emergency. Earlier today, Governor Brown issued emergency proclamations for Riverside and Shasta counties due to fires. The full text of the proclamation from Mariposa County is below. Whereas on July 13, 2018, the Ferguson Fire began burning in Mariposa County and continues to burn, and whereas this fire, which has burned over 43,000 acres of land, continues to threaten homes and other structures, necessitating the evacuation of residents, and whereas the fire has caused power outages, forced the closure of roadways, and continues to threaten critical infrastructure, and whereas high temperatures, low humidity, and erratic winds have further increased the spread of this fire, and whereas the circumstances of this fire, by reason of its magnitude, are or are likely to be beyond the control of the services, personnel, equipment, and facilities of any single local government and require the combined forces of a mutual aid region or regions to combat, and whereas under the provisions of Government Code Section 8558B, I find that conditions of extreme peril to the safety of persons and property exists in Mariposa County due to this fire, and whereas under the provisions of Government Code Section 8571, I find that strict compliance with the various statutes and regulations specified in this order would prevent, hinder, or delay the mitigation of the effects of the Ferguson Fire. Now, therefore, I, Edmund G. Brown Jr., Governor of the State of California, in accordance with the authority vested in me by the state constitution and statutes, including the California Emergency Services Act, and in particular, Government Code Section 8625, hereby proclaim a state of emergency to exist in Mariposa County due to the Ferguson Fire. It is hereby ordered that all agencies of the state government utilize and employ state personnel, equipment, and facilities for the performance of any and all activities consistent with the direction of the Office of Emergency Services and the State Emergency Plan. Also, all citizens are to heed the advice of emergency officials with regard to this emergency in order to protect their safety. The Office of Emergency Services shall provide local government assistance to Mariposa County, if appropriate, under the authority of the California Disaster Assistance Act, Government Code Section 8680 etc., and California Code of Regulations, Title 19, Section 2900 etc. As necessary to assist local governments and for the protection of public health and the environment, state agencies shall enter into contracts to arrange for the procurement of materials, goods, and services necessary to quickly assist with the response to and recovery from the impacts of the Ferguson Fire. Applicable provisions of the Government Code and the Public Contract Code, including but not limited to travel, advertising, and competitive bidding requirements are suspended to the extent necessary to address the effects of the Ferguson Fire. The provisions of Unemployment Insurance Code Section 1253 imposing a 1-week waiting period for unemployment insurance applicants are suspended as to all applicants who are unemployed as a direct result of the Ferguson Fire, who applied for unemployment insurance benefits during the time period beginning July 13, 2018. And ending on the close of business on January 13, 2019, and who are otherwise eligible for unemployment insurance benefits. Vehicle Code Sections 9265A, 9867, 14901, 14902, and 15255.2, requiring the imposition of fees, are suspended with regard to any request for replacement of a driver's identification card, vehicle registration certificate, or certificate of title, by any individual who lost such records as a result of the Ferguson Fire. Such records shall be replaced without charge. The provisions of Vehicle Code Sections 4602 and 5902, requiring the timely registration or transfer of title, are suspended with regard to any registration or transfer of title by any resident of Mariposa County who is unable to comply with those requirements as a result of the Ferguson Fire. The time covered by this suspension shall not be included in calculating any late penalty pursuant to Vehicle Code Section 9554. Health and Safety Code Sections 103,525.5 and 103,625, and Penal Code Section 14,251, requiring the imposition of fees, are hereby suspended with regard to any request for copies of certificates of birth, death, marriage, and dissolution of marriage records, by any individual who lost such records as a result of the Ferguson Fire. Such copies shall be provided without charge. I further direct that as soon as hereafter possible, this proclamation be filed in the office of the Secretary of State, and that widespread publicity and notice be given of this proclamation. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the Great Seal of the State of California to be affixed this 26th day of July 2018. It's terrible, and unfortunately I live close to these areas, so if we suddenly go off the air, we would be evacuating, but I think we're going to be fine. Our hearts and prayers go out to everyone involved. We ask our dear Lord to watch over our